Okay, so you want to become a realtor, but you don't know whether to go into residential or commercial. Well, here, it's a good thing you clicked on this video because I'm going to be explaining to you the details of both residential and commercial so you can make a proper decision for yourself. Just in case if you're watching this and you have no idea what commercial or residential is, I want to explain to you the difference between both of them right now. So commercial real estate is just selling business buildings like offices, shopping malls, that kind of stuff. And residential is selling homes, what you live in, apartments, duplexes, condos, etc. So first, let's talk about the pros of commercial. Usually, there's higher commissions per deal as a realtor. Businesses tend to usually buy like more expensive properties compared to residential. Like the average business property is going to be more expensive than the average home. Think about it like this: most businesses have to buy a nice building so that they could host business, have it professional, and a home. It still is a huge deal for the buyer. How do I say this? There's usually less capital that the resident has to buy a home. So yeah, that's the first pro. The second pro, I would say, it's way more logical in a sense, like way more detail oriented. Like when you look at people usually buying a home, it's way more emotions based because after all, it is like considered one of the most stressful purchases a person makes in their life, or a family, a couple, whatever it may be. Compared to residential, it's way more logical. Does this line up with this? Okay, boom, let's buy the property. And the third pro I'd say is there's way more longer term relationships. Here, let me give you a good example. Let's just say you're selling buildings to a company that's like looking to franchise. Let's just say that company does end up franchising and wants to branch out to like more locations in the city. They could go right back to you and say, hey, I need another property. What do you have for me? And boom, you're like in the door already. That could be seen as way more convenient. So yeah, and compared to residential, you don't really have that. People usually don't like buy multiple homes after they're happy with their first home. It's more like, I'm happy with my home. I don't want another one. I don't think I really need to explain that though. But now let's talk about some of the pros as being a realtor selling residential type properties. So first, right off the bat, I'd want to say is that there's a way larger pool of potential clients. More people are just looking to buy homes than commercial properties. There's way more people out there looking to buy a home than businesses out there looking to buy a property. That's just facts. So like I said before, commercial properties are often pretty expensive, and which in turn gets you a higher commission. And you could also look at it a different sense and say residential properties are usually cheaper. It's easier to get deals done faster and at a higher quantity. The third pro I would say is that buyers tend to be more emotional. This could be seen as a pro or a negative. In residential, could help you to appeal to people's emotions more if you're good at selling, conveying a strong message, putting a story in people's heads, or just overall if you're just really how do I say this, like if you tailor to their needs, sometimes that could help. You could build like a strong relationship with them, and maybe that could help close the sale. All right, my bad guys, I had to finish this part another day, but we're finishing it here. Now let's talk about some of the cons of going with commercial and residential. First, I'll start with the cons of going with residential. First, I'll just start off with the fact that in commercial, you're going to be making more money. So obviously meaning in residential, you're not going to be making as much per commission, which there is a larger client pool. So maybe that could be not a big issue for you, but that's just one main thing. Another con is that since there is a larger client pool, there's obviously going to be more competition. Fly on me. Be more competition as far as realtors. And I did say this as a pro for going with residential, but this also could be a con depending on how you look at it. Clients can be emotional and oftentimes are. If you're not the kind of person who likes dealing with that, residential might not be the path you want to take. Because also keep in mind, it does make sense that the client would be emotional. Buying a house, like I said, is arguably, I'm pretty sure it is, the most stressful purchase that they're going to make in their entire lifetime. So it makes sense, but still, if you don't want to deal with that, yeah, commercial might suit you more then. Now let's mention some of the cons for commercial. First of all, I want to say deals do often take longer than in residential, just because businesses usually are spending more money on these properties. It's a longer term investment. Often the people buying the commercial properties tend to keep these properties for a lot longer. There's a lot of different things that need to be sorted out before, the company, person, buyer wants to buy the property. So oftentimes it does take longer. Another con could be that oftentimes there's like a difficult barrier to entry just because to be a good commercial realtor, you need to know like a lot of knowledge. I'm talking about zoning, talking about like, I don't know, different ROIs, like just a bunch of different stuff that, tailors to your specific area. You need to figure that out because, the companies or whoever's buying the property is going to have a lot of questions. And oftentimes they're not going to buy if you don't know what you're talking about. So that's another big thing to consider. If you don't like doing logistics, if you don't like knowing a bunch of like small details, then maybe residential might be better for you. Even in residential, you'll still have to know like different things, I imagine. Another con I'd have to say is that there's just less clients, like less potential clients in a commercial compared to residential, just because there's way less people out there like looking to buy a home. I mean, not buy a home, buy a commercial property. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, you will be getting overall like higher commissions, but oftentimes there is less clients looking to buy a property. So that's another thing to consider. But I'm sure if you work hard enough, you can make it work. So I'd say the last con I have listed here is that when the economy is bad, businesses aren't really looking to buy properties. So I guess you could say the same thing residential too. Yeah, I don't know. That's just another big thing to consider. And honestly, now that I've mentioned everything, to just summarize this, I'd basically say like if you're more of a logistics person, more patient, more logical, more like book savvy, I'd probably go with commercial, like selling commercial as a realtor. But if you're more on the emotional side, or not even like emotional as a person, but you could tailor to people's emotions, intuitive, I guess, care for people more, or if you're just good at persuading people, I'd recommend way more selling residential. But at the end of the day, it's all up to you. And I wish you the best of luck in your real estate endeavors. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you for watching.